Welcome to the Online Course Masters show, where you'll learn how to create and sell your very own online courses. I'm your host, Phil Ebener, and as always, I'm with Jeremy Deegan, and today we're excited to dive into another great topic about course copy, your titles, your subtitles, your descriptions, and how to write them properly. Visit onlinecoursemasters.com for the full show notes, to view the video version of this episode, and to see an archive of all our past episodes and guests. And while you're listening, make sure you hit that subscribe button and take a moment to leave a review, which helps us reach an even larger audience and continue to put out this type of content for free for all of you to enjoy. So Jeremy, welcome back to the show, and how's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's beautiful day here in Southern California when we're filming, but it's supposed to rain later on, actually, which is good for us here in SoCal. So nice. How's the weather over there on the other side of the U.S.?
It's actually a little chilly this week. We got a big storm the past couple of days, and the temperature just dropped. So for us Floridians, it's down to like the 70s right now, and we're freezing.
That's funny, because I woke up today and it was like cold inside, and then everyone who lives anywhere else where it's colder is going to think we're such wimps. But I looked at the thermostat and it's like 72, and I'm like, man, it's cold in here. Is it wrong of me to turn up the thermostat? But hey, my wife's pregnant, and if she feels cold, I'm going to turn up the heat. So that's actually part of the fun fact today to share with the audience, just to share a little bit about what our family life looks like, so people can get to know us a little bit more. Share what's your family look like nowadays?
So we got a pretty big family. I have my wife that we've been married for quite a few years, and I've known her for a long, long time. So she's great. And then we have two kids. I have an older 7-year-old boy and a younger 4-year-old daughter, and they're a blast to have and watch them grow. And then we've also got our extended family. I've got a white German Shepherd, and then 2 cats, and
Nice.
an actual outside cat that we feed. So it's a pretty big family around here.
Man, well, we're going to have like the same size family then, because I'm with my wife, Isabel. We've been together. We just passed our 3rd wedding anniversary, but we've been together for almost 9 years now, or maybe we just passed 9 years. And we've got 2 babies on the way, twins, 2 boys. And then we've got our dog and 2 cats as well. So,
Wow,
man.
So if you're creating an online course, you need to have kids, cats, dogs. No, I'm just
That's
joking.
the key to success. It does make you work harder for sure, having like the responsibility of kids. I mean, I don't really know yet, because I don't have actual kids yet. They're on the way, but it has kind of changed my mindset of like, wow,
Yeah.
this is like serious. I'm gonna have to like. And my wife's not planning on going back to work for a little while. I mean, with twins, it's going to be so like a lot of work, and it's not worth it for us anyways to pay someone. We'd rather spend the time ourselves with the kids at home. And it's like, wow, I'm going to be the person in charge, and we got to make sure all the bills are paid, pay for insurance ourselves, and because it's not going to come through my wife's work anymore. So
Yep.
luckily I'm in a position to do that, but it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely lights a fire under your butt, because once we had the kids, like you said, my whole mindset changed on my priorities and responsibility and stuff. So that's great. It's a good thing. But, this is for everyone. And what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about course copy. So this is your titles, your subtitles, and your descriptions. And this, I'm kind of using Udemy as sort of the template, but a lot of other platforms use the same structure. You'll have a title, subtitle, and then sort of a description of your course. So we're just going to go through each of those and talk about sort of tips, best practices, and go through some examples of what works, what might not work, and just try to help you out if you are either done recording your course or you're getting it ready. Sometimes I like to actually write this stuff out beforehand, knowing that it might change a little bit later, but it also helps me come up with sort of a good course outline as well, or I can use my course outline to sort of write out my course description. And But especially with the title, it might take some time and some, you might change some things, and you might even change your title after you publish the course. And I think let's get straight into the course title and some tips for that. And I'll just say, I think that brings up one tip that I just thought of is don't necessarily have like one title that you think you're going to stick to. And that means when you're recording your course, I actually shy away from saying the exact course title because it might change. In the past, I'm trying to think of, I remember my first course, I think I called it Video Editing 101, which I thought was a cool title. But then I've learned that Video Editing 101 is neat, but if I'm teaching a specific video editing application like Final Cut Pro, then that should be more of the course title. And so throughout the course, when I'm saying Video Editing 101, and then later when I change the title to Final Cut Pro Video Editing, then it might be a little awkward for students. So you might want to think about, while you're recording your course, just being more general, saying, hey, this is a video editing course, this is a course on Final Cut Pro, whatever you want to say, because you might change that title later on. Do you have what tips come to mind for choosing a title yourself?
Yeah, that's a good one. I ran into that mistake on my first course too, changing the title, and then it gets a little tricky because then you really have to go through and change a lot of stuff, especially if you reference it like in the videos, like you said. It can become a problem because it creates a disconnect between the student and what you're talking about. But like you said, titles are important. It might not be on Udemy. If you have a blog, or maybe even in an email, it might be something that you're calling the course. So if it's online, you want it to be keyword friendly. Now, you don't want to just cram it with keywords. Just say video production, DSLR, lighting. It's got to make sense. But online, everything is basically a search engine. Google is a search engine. Udemy is also a search engine. So when you're creating your title, you want to make sure that you are putting proper keywords in there, that if people who are looking for your course are going to find it, because it's something that those search engines are going to look for when trying to put the search answers with whoever's looking for those. So you might call it the video production class for beginners, where if your course is on video production, you do have that keyword in there. So I would say keywords is probably an important one. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. I think that's kind of like the first step, actually, is you need to have the keyword in there, especially if you're on Udemy or Skillshare or one of these other marketplaces where the key to success is showing up in the search results. If you have sort of a general, and we're going to talk more about this, having sort of more of a brand name versus the keyword-based name, it might not show up as well on Udemy. And so, like, for example, I'm looking at my Premiere Pro video editing course. It's called Premiere Pro CC for Beginners, Video Editing in Premiere. And so I actually used the keyword twice in there, and I don't think you necessarily have to do that. And sometimes you can be penalized depending on the search engine for cramming keywords in there. But including the keywords Premiere Pro and video editing in there was important for me, because those were two keywords that people might be searching for to find this kind of class. And so that's basically what you're doing, is thinking, as a student, what are people going to be searching for to actually find this specific class? And we're always trying to match the viewer's expectation or the student's expectations. And so if this class was just called Video Editing 101, like my first class was, and then someone comes to the landing page, maybe even they buy the course, and then they realize this is a Premiere Pro class, they don't use Premiere Pro, then they're upset because they're in a class that doesn't work for them. That's bad. So you want to make sure that, especially if you're teaching a specific sort of application or really anything specific, include those specific keywords in there. I'm looking at my other classes, Photography Masterclass, Your Complete Guide to Photography. That's been my best-selling class, and that title has worked. And you can see kind of I have similar structure for most of my courses. It's sort of the main keyword, like photography masterclass or Premiere Pro CC, and then there's sort of an addition to it, which sort of is an encompassing description of the class that is, it just kind of like gives it like a little bit of, I don't know what the word is, but a brevity, or it kind of describes what the class is, a complete guide, your learn from A to Z. And that can be you can talk about the benefit of the class more than just the keyword, which is important, but you only have a limited amount of space in your title, especially on Udemy. You don't have you can't write a complete sentence or paragraph for your title. So you have to balance your keywords with having a benefit. But when I talk about benefit, what am I talking about? What is a benefit compared to the keyword, in your opinion?
Well, we always talk about, we want to have the student, reach a goal, something that they're trying to achieve. And so the benefit of the course is being able to achieve that goal, versus just saying, so for instance, the video production course, if I just called it video production course, it has the keyword in there, but you're not really speaking to the student or explaining to them what they might be able to do in this course or achieve in this course. Yeah. So you might say, video production to become a YouTuber, success, or something like that, where you're actually explaining to them what they're going to get out of the course. I think is very important, because title is one of the things that when it's put up against other courses, it's going to be a determining factor of having someone click on that. They have to go through a process. They first have to find your course along with others or by itself, and then it has to grab them enough to want them to click on it and view that further. And typically we do that with the course image and with the title. So I feel like the title is very important to make sure that it's something that people want to click on. So you don't want to just call it a keyword or something bland like cooking course or baking course. You want to have it be keyword friendly, but also have things in it that the student's going to take from that. Now, you also mentioned creating a brand versus general keywords. Can you describe that more? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I guess one of the first examples that comes to mind is Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, and he's created a couple different courses himself. One is Smart from Scratch. One is Power Up Podcasting. And Smart from Scratch, if I tell you Smart from Scratch and you don't know anything about Pat Flynn, what do you think that's on? I don't know, maybe how to become a better student, how to bake, cookies from scratch. Who knows what you think that course is on? Right. And that's not keyword friendly, so that's not going to show up in a search engine that well. But because Pat is so large and he has this audience of his own, he's not depending on showing up in search results to sell his course. So that's more of like the brand identity. But you can also do this on Udemy or other marketplaces, and I've seen other people do this. Jonathan Levy, who I interviewed in the podcast very early on, he has the Become a Superhuman series of courses. And so he has a course on health. He's got a course on growing your business. He's got all these on learning and speed reading, and they're all branded as Become a Superhuman. And then the course description, health class or whatever it is. Another person that reminds me of is Tim Ferriss with his 4-hour work week. Now he's not doing courses, but he's doing books. He's got he's got the health class book. He's got what are all his books? He's got a few cooking.
Yeah, the 4-hour work week, and then
4-hour body.
4-hour body. Yep.
Yeah, and then there's one other cooking one, I think it is.
Yeah, but they all have that 4-hour in it, so he's tying those together.
Yeah.
And so it's creating that brand. It helps people know you better, know your brand better, and tie those things together. Yeah. So in Pat Flynn's instance, in case you don't know him, his website is the Smart Passive Income. So he used the smart in that course because it makes people realize that that's coming from him and it's tying his brand together. Smart passive income, smart from scratch. It's very easy to know that that is a Pat Flynn course based on the words that he chose there.
Yeah, totally. And then just really quickly back to having this benefit. One example of one of my recent courses that I think I did pretty well with this is my YouTube marketing course. And I could have just called it the YouTube marketing course, and that would might show up well in a search engine, but that doesn't give someone a reason to click on that course compared to other classes. And so I add the benefit, which is grow your business with YouTube. And so it's the YouTube marketing course, grow your business with YouTube. I think it's grow your business with YouTube or grow your business with videos.
Right.
But that's the benefit that is really the reason why someone is taking that class. But no one's going to be searching grow your business or grow your business with YouTube. They're going to be searching just for YouTube or maybe just YouTube marketing. And we know this because actually with Udemy specifically, we have the marketplace insights that we can search for a keyword or a topic and see what people are actually searching for when they buy those classes. And so when I created that course, I knew people were searching for YouTube and YouTube marketing. And so you can use that kind of keyword research to come up with the title, the names or the words that are in your title, which you should actually be doing, not just on Udemy, but on Google Keyword Planner or any other keyword tool that you're using. Now, we're talking a lot about me and my courses, but let's just look at an example. I'm on Udemy and I'm searching for marathon because that's a keyword that I think someone would be searching for if they want to run a marathon. And I just want to kind of go through the courses that show up and see what is working, what's not working, and why the course that's ranked number 1 might be ranked number 1. Now, marathon running isn't a hugely popular topic. There's only 10 courses on Udemy's search results for now. But the first one is titled Run Your First Marathon with Confidence. So he's got and this is Simon Scotting. He was also a guest of the podcast. He's taking some of the skills he's learned from the podcast to heart. And he's got the highest rated and top ranked marathon running course. And so he's using that keyword marathon, but he's also got the keyword run. And then he's adding sort of not a benefit, but sort of a descriptor for the course of with confidence, which I think, and first marathon. So he's targeting a specific audience with that title, Run Your First Marathon with Confidence, which if I'm a brand new runner running my first marathon, that kind of title calls out to me compared to maybe just the complete marathon course or the online marathon running course. Are there any other things you're seeing? Are you looking at the marathon results? Anything that's popping out to you?
I actually went into insights as you were talking about it, and I just wanted to see what we had there. So marathon isn't a keyword that Udemy Insights shows, but so I typed in the next thing that I would think of, not knowing a whole lot about it, which would be running. And so running pops up as a keyword topic in the Insights tool, and the first search topic is running, and then the second is marathon. And then the third is running fitness. So by doing a little bit of research, you can find out, like you said, things that people are actively searching for, and you can include those in your title. So you could say something along the lines of, whatever the marathon course is, and then have how to be better at running long distances or something of that nature, where I'm taking the 2 top keyword searches and I'm inputting those into that title. But again, you want to write to the student. You want to make sure that it makes sense to them and it's giving them that benefit of what they're wanting to achieve. I wanted to also add another part of that kind of side benefit thing is talking to the person that you're actually trying to teach. And we've talked about this before. You might want to talk to beginners, or you want to talk about marathon running for people who are, a certain section of people, marathon for nerds. I forget the website. Maybe you can remember. There's a Nerd Fitness or something like that.
Nerd Fitness,
which was a website created to get nerds fit. And I think that that's a great branding strategy because you're talking specifically to that type of person. We did that again. We've talked about this with our Canva and Photoshop for Entrepreneurs course. So we put that in the title. So even in the title, they can instantly know that it's for them. Canva for entrepreneurs, and then whatever else we added to the end, how to create graphic design for a business or whatever. So you have all those elements. You're saying a title that makes sense, something that's catchy. You're putting those keywords in, and you're kind of tying those things together. And in a way, we created a little mini brand there because we have our Canva for Entrepreneurs class. Now we've got our Photoshop for Entrepreneurs. Maybe in the future we can create another course, video production for entrepreneurs, and we can also tie all those things in together.
Yeah, I like that. One thing that came up that I was thinking about when you're talking about the keywords for like the topic running, though, is you have to think about what that keyword actually can be applied to. When you search for just running in Udemy, the top course is about running a web development business. And there's several that are about running a business or running business, running a web design business, running a mobile app dev business. And so if you're creating a class about running, I would not call it just the running class. You got to think about what other things are people thinking about when thinking about actual physical running. So maybe it's the running fit class, or it's running a marathon class, or running a 5K class, whatever it is that gives it a little bit more specificity to people who are looking for that type of running class. And then the other thing is that on Udemy, the search engine, I don't know if it's I don't think any search engine is perfect, but really depending on like the specific word, it can change a lot. So if you type in running versus run, for example, a course might not even appear. So for example, when you type in marathon, that one from Simon Scotting, Run Your First Marathon with Confidence, shows up as the first result. But when you type in running a marathon, his class is the 7th or 8th result because he doesn't have that keyword running in the title. And if you can't fit it in the title, which you might not be able to, or you might not want to because his title, Run Your First Marathon with Confidence, is good, that's when you kind of move on to the subtitle, which is what we can talk about next. And that's where you can add other keywords that are related to your course and other versions of keywords like run and running that apply to your class. So I feel like for me, the subtitle is even more where you talk about the benefit of the class. You're trying to hook in the viewer and try to get them interested and excited. At the same time, it's including other keywords or key phrases that someone might be searching for related to that topic.
Yeah, and real quick before we go into the subtitle, you made me think of something else too about what you were saying with the keyword researches in the title specifically, is that on Udemy, the platform, I've noticed while doing my research that having other keywords is also going to populate a lot more search results, which can also hinder you because you might be adding a lot more than you anticipate. So for instance, I have a Canva course. Canva isn't a very popular term. It's a brand, and I don't know other than Canvas. There isn't a lot going on there. So if someone types in Canva, they might only get, a couple pages of search results because Canva just isn't a very popular term. Now, if I'm creating, say, a C# programming course, I might just want to call it C# for dummies, or C# whatever course, because when I type in C# programming and I add programming into that course, now the search engine is actually looking at C# as a keyword and programming as a title. And because programming is such a broad topic, it brings up a lot more pages. I can't say that is an actual result, but I just know that doing my research in the past, I've seen that happen where adding in more keywords, you got to be careful with, because if it's very broad, like running, like you said, it could actually pull in more results than you're anticipating. So going on to the subtitle now, again, the subtitle is something that you could find if you have a blog post and you're talking about the course, or maybe you have a sales page of your own. You have your own Thinkific or Teachable page, and you have the main title of the course. But then the next thing is what we would call a hook, something that's going to, the title kind of just grabs their attention, and then the hook really like pulls them in and makes them want to take that course. Now on Udemy and other platforms, you can actually have a subtitle that will show up on your landing page or sales page on that marketplace. So what are some tips that you want to keep in mind when you're writing a good subtitle?
I think it's just don't just keyword fill it with a bunch of keywords. You want to make it a more of a complete thought. So for me, I'll give an example of an Adobe Illustrator class that we just released. And our subtitle is Learn Adobe Illustrator CC Graphic Design, Logo Design, and More with this in-depth, practical, and easy-to-follow course. And so, again, you see that I'm using the keyword Adobe Illustrator CC again. And I think for Udemy, this generally works well to include the main keyword both in the title and the subtitle. Mm-hmm. Again, you don't want to stuff keywords, but on Udemy, at least for now, that seems to be what's working. But I also included those other keywords such as graphic design, logo design, which people might be searching for and they might want our course. But then we're adding sort of the descriptor of this is an in-depth, practical, and easy to follow course, giving them a reason for why this course might be good for them. If I just left it as Learn Adobe Illustrator, Graphic Design, Logo Design, and More, then that doesn't really give them a good reason to enroll in this particular class, but maybe someone's looking for something that's easy to follow and practical. Another example is a photography class that I taught with my friend Anthony, and part of the subtitle is Tell a Better Story with Your Photography. So we are kind of reaching out to people who, that's not keyword friendly at all. Tell a better story with your photography, but we're trying to get at people who are street photographers or who just want to improve their photography in that way. One other example of adding more keywords that people might be searching for is our digital marketing class. And our subtitle is Learn Digital Marketing to Grow Your Business. And then we have a colon, and then it's social media marketing, Facebook, SEO, YouTube, email marketing, and websites. Now, in this subtitle, we did include just a lot of keywords that people would be interested in. Since this is a digital marketing mastery class, though, we wanted to give that idea of this being on all of the major types of digital marketing you might be interested in. And that's why we included Facebook, SEO, YouTube, email marketing, etc. And one thing that we did that we updated on this title after launching it was before we put this key phrase social media marketing in the subtitle, I think we had something like maybe we included like Twitter or Instagram, but we realized that those keywords weren't as beneficial as showing up in the search results for the key phrase social media marketing. Again, using the Udemy Insights, we saw that social media marketing itself is a very popular topic. And while our course is about digital marketing, most of it or a lot of it is about social media marketing. But because we didn't use that exact key phrase, it wasn't even showing up in the search results for social media marketing. Or maybe it was, but on page 7, 8, 9, which at that point doesn't matter. Simply by updating our subtitle, including that key phrase, social media marketing, along with, I think, putting it throughout the description and in some of the section headers, now it's ranking on the first page of the social media marketing keyword, which is just a simple change that we did, but after doing a little bit of research and seeing which keywords would be best for this course.
Nice. I was pulling up some of mine just to see what I've created in the past. And one thing you want to keep in mind too is you might want to change these and test things. A big part of creating online courses, online business in general, is testing to see what works. So
Yeah.
changing out keywords, changing out titles. Now you got to give it some time, and
Yeah.
there's no great way to split test on Udemy. So you got to also be careful that you don't take your search results, but you do want to try different things and see if you can make changes and document when you make them and you see an increase in sales or reviews or what have you. Maybe that was a change for the better. So I'm looking at a couple of mine. I have my Photoshop effects course. So this one was pretty keyword intense, and I wasn't going just for Photoshop. I was looking for Photoshop effects because ranking for Photoshop is pretty hard. And this course was specifically on creating certain effects inside of Photoshop. So I'm talking directly to that benefit, and I'm using those keywords. Photoshop effects, and then I have a hyphen, and then I called it create stunning photo effects. So there I'm telling them exactly what they're going to learn, and I'm also giving them two different keywords I'm looking for, Photoshop effects and photo effects. And then for a subtitle, I use the keywords again, create Photoshop effects from scratch. And then the second sentence, and this is something else you might want to think about, is maybe what they're doing in the course. So I said, make popular photographic effects in Adobe Photoshop by doing practical projects. So that's something else that you can do, is telling them something that they're actually going to do in the course. I know a lot of courses, even some of your courses, will say something along the lines of create 12 projects in digital markeing.
Excuse me, my dog. Ashby, be quiet. We're recording a podcast. Okay, hold on. I think we're gonna have to pause. Ashby, all right, I'm still recording though. We'll be right back. There's no one there. No one there. No one there. No one there. There's no one there. Oops. Ashby.
Oh, I can't wait to see the waveform on that one.
Yeah. Ashby, calm down. Hey, there's nothing going on. Hey, nothing going on. Got startled. Oh man. All right. Okay.
I know where to pick up.
Okay. Ashby.
You good?
I think so. Ashby, go to bed. Go to bed. Okay, let's rock and roll. We'll just kind of splice it in somehow.
Yeah, I think I know where to pick up here.
Okay.
I believe. Hopefully it's before then. All right, you ready?
Yep.
So then my second sentence is make popular photographic effects in Adobe Photoshop by doing practical projects. So I know that in a lot of courses, even some of your courses, you will say something along the lines of create 10 video editing projects. So you can tell them what they're actually going to be doing in the course, which I think is pretty cool because it's a hook. You're trying to get them to want to buy into your course, and by showing them that we're not just doing one little project. We're actually going to show you 10 different variations of this project. Or we're going to tell you specifically, this isn't a baking class, but you're going to learn how to bake chocolate chip cookies with sprinkles on top, or something of that nature, where you're really diving into what that student is going to be learning, I think is pretty important. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I would just say, also do a search. You should do this for your title and your subtitle. Do a search for the keywords you're thinking about using and see what other classes show up. Use their subtitles as inspiration and see how you can differentiate yourself. How can you make your course sound more interesting and more beneficial, easier to learn, quicker to learn? It depends on what your class is. Is your class super quick? And that's a sort of a subtitle or a hook I've seen a lot of people use, where you can learn all of these skills in 1 hour, or become a master in, the next week. And so, excuse my dog barking in the background. But that's another thing I would do, is do a search on Udemy, online, elsewhere, just to see what other people are using for their keyword or for their titles and subtitles as well.
And I wanted to also make a note here too. Use the reviews and the feedback to change these things as you go throughout your course process. So I have my GarageBand course, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm thinking to myself, I should probably change this, because I created this course some time ago, and I had some thoughts of how I wanted the course to go, and I called it GarageBand Masterclass. And then the subtitle says, Learn GarageBand for Music and Audio Production. So that's what GarageBand can be used for, and it makes sense to the normal person. However, when you get into the course, you realize that the course doesn't really dive into like music theory. It does. I'm not really explaining how to create songs. I'm really more showing the fundamentals of the program and how it works so that people can use it. And I feel like I could do better on that title and being specific with who I'm talking to, and not making them think that maybe they're going to learn how to write music in this course, but this course is more of a technical course of showing how to use that program. So I would say something to keep in mind is, as you go through this, use your reviews and feedback from students and different things like that to really get an idea of how you can make it better. I wanted to throw in real quick, when we're talking about titles and subtitles, if you look online for the keywords headline analyzer, there's a link from CoSchedule. This is for blog posts, and I wouldn't use this as your definite title, but it does help you look at your titles and kind of see how you could write them better. And it'll kind of look at the keywords and how it's written and different things of that nature. So it's coschedule.com/headline-analyzer. If you plug that in, maybe take your title or your subtitles and pop those in there and just kind of see what they would say. Again, it's not perfect and it's not the end all be all of headlines, but it is a cool tool that kind of helps you understand how to write better, titles and subtitles.
And that's a great tip. And before we get on to the descriptions and summaries, one thing, again, this kind of goes back to the headline or the main title, but also throughout. I kind of mentioned it before, but you want your viewer's expectations to be matched. And so even if your course subtitle using keywords will get a bigger audience, be careful about that. And I'm specifically thinking about versioning of courses. And so, for example, I have my Premiere Pro CC class, which was one version. I also had my Premiere Pro CS6 class, which is the older version. And for a while, I just called that a Premiere Pro class before I had the CC version, the newer version. And I was getting a lot of students enrolling, but they were finding out that it wasn't the updated class, and they were having a really hard time with it. And that led to worse reviews. So in that instance, I changed the title to include the keyword CS6 or the letters, I guess, to make sure people knew exactly what version I was using in that class. So that's really important if you are creating classes on specific versions of an application. Include that, and don't try to get or trick students. I think that's generally what you should do or not do throughout all of this, is don't try to trick people to get in your class. That's not going to end up working well for you. One other quick note too is while you're listening to this, head over to the Facebook group. Just search for Online Course Masters or go to onlinecoursemasters.com and click on the community button at the top. Join the Facebook group, and every week we post the link to this episode, and we start a conversation about this topic, and we really want to get you involved. And so if you have any ideas for writing better headlines or questions about it and how we can help you or how the rest of the community can help you, we're going to have a thread each week for each of these episodes. So make sure you head over there, join the group, and start participating so you can carry on the conversation while this episode is going and afterwards. So moving on to sort of the last topic for this episode, which is lecture titles, description, the rest of the description of the course. I think kind of like the main ideas. Again, use keywords, but any other sort of strategies that you found work or didn't work for your descriptions?
Yeah, so when we're talking about titles, we're talking about subtitles. That's grabbing their attention, that's creating a hook to kind of get them in. Then when you get into the descriptions or say the summary of the course, you're really giving them a lot more information about what's going to be in that course. So these are typically a little longer. They might be a paragraph to a couple paragraphs. You don't want to just, write a whole book, but you do want to give them more information about what they're going to learn, what the transformation is going to be about, what is going to be included in the course. Maybe you can talk about different things. Are there practice activities? Maybe you can include things, especially like in the summary of the course or the description of the course. Maybe you have reviews from prior students talking about that course. This works really good on Udemy and off of Udemy. If you have a sales page for your own hosted course, you want to have social proof. And this is probably a little more important off of Udemy, because on Udemy, we have built-in social proof with students and reviews. But if you are hosting your own course and you create your own sales page, there's no social proof for other people to know, are other students liking this course? So one thing that you can do, and you usually want to get consent when you do this, is to talk to someone who will give you a review or talk about your course, and then you can include that in the summary or sales page or landing page of your course for some of that social proof. Someone saying, hey, I took this course, this is what I learned from it, and it really helped me out. So they're going to be a little longer. You got to use good grammar and punctuation. I don't know on Udemy if these get read thoroughly, but you still want it to look nice and professional. Don't make it one, 5,000 word paragraph just all jammed together. I've seen that before. You can use things like bold copy and italics and headlines and different size fonts, maybe not on Udemy, but off of Udemy, to kind of break it up and just make it look, pleasing, easy to scan, easy to read, and really go through some more of the details of what's included in that course. So that's kind of some of the things that come to my mind when we're talking about descriptions and summaries. What any ideas that you've got? That
I think just off of what you said, definitely make it long enough to include your keywords. And I've seen people's descriptions that are a paragraph long. I would say it should be more than that. And it's not just for on Udemy, it's also for off Udemy. Google is looking at these course landing pages, and that's where a lot of the traffic to Udemy courses comes, is from a regular Google search. So make it long enough to include enough keywords and information for Google to find it. Like you said, at Udemy Live last year, this isn't the main reason why someone's going to buy a course. Actually, I remember they had an analysis of landing pages and what parts of the landing page people use to determine if they're going to buy a course or not. And like the title was like number one. I think the subtitle was really high up there. The promo video was really high up there. But the description was one of the last things people actually read. But it's not necessarily there for people, all the students to read. It's there for the search engines to read and for anyone that wants to. One tip I would suggest is talk specifically to the student. One thing that I like to do for all my descriptions is talk about, like, try to hook them in the first sentence of the description. For example, I'll say something like, if you want to learn Adobe Illustrator CC, this is the perfect class for you. Or for my podcasting class, it's, you want to start a podcast, right? This is the perfect course for you. And kind of talking and trying to engage directly with the viewer. And there's been studies that show that if you use those words "you" in the description of a sales page, it does attract the person a little bit more. It catches their attention a little bit more. So that's kind of my other tip, is to kind of talk directly to the student. And really, this is your place to answer all of those questions, those doubts that someone might have if they're thinking about enrolling in this class. So this is where you list out all the key things someone will learn, even though this might be in the outline of your course itself, which is on a Udemy landing page down below. Someone can see the entire curriculum. I still include all the key sort of topics that someone learns. And usually those are the sections of the course, but also maybe some of the individual lessons. I talk about what they get with the course. So how many hours is the course? They get a certificate at the end. There's also any bonuses that I have. So any downloads, activities, anything like that. I talk about on Udemy and on my own site, the 30-day 100% money back guarantee. So just trying to quell any sort of issues that someone might have when enrolling in a class. And like all of this, I think the best thing to do is just to look at other descriptions, look at the best selling courses for your category and see what they're doing. Usually the ones that are doing well have a longer description that covers a lot of information. In terms of sort of lecture titles, again, I think this helps with SEO, but it also needs to be very beneficial for the student when they're taking the course. I've seen some courses where the section titles are literally just like part 1, part 2, part 3. That doesn't necessarily help the student, and it doesn't help with SEO at all. So when I'm writing section titles, I'm thinking about like what is the main topic of this section that someone's going to be searching for on YouTube. And so for like our podcasting class, let me look and see what some of our section is. It's getting started with podcasting, recording your podcast, editing your podcast, preparing and hosting your podcast files. And notice that we're including that keyword podcast in all of those sections. Not that you have to do that, and it might not make sense, but for this class, it kind of made sense to include the keyword podcast in most of those section headers. And kind of same thing for this lectures as well.
In that instance, you're including secondary keywords too, which are keywords that you could possibly end up ranking for also. So you mentioned recording, you mentioned editing. Those might be things that people are typing in also. They might type in recording, and maybe they have a podcast in mind, but they didn't think to type in podcasting. Well, your course might actually show up for that. So I think that that's a cool technique, like you said, because it really helps you add in some of those additional keywords and re-emphasizing. You mentioned your digital marketing course, where social media marketing might be a big topic, also a secondary keyword from your main keyword. So your one section might be social media marketing. So you're hitting that keyword again in that section.
Yeah, totally. I think the last thing is on Udemy specifically, we have the lecture descriptions. So for each individual lecture, you have the space to include some information about that lecture itself. And to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time writing out a long paragraph for each lesson, but I do include at least one sentence about that lesson. And a lot of people skip this. And I don't have the science necessarily to back this up, but I'm assuming that because that information does appear on the landing page, it will help with the ranking of the course, not only in Udemy, but also on other search engines like Google. So definitely write out lecture descriptions. And like you said, these are those secondary keywords or those third keywords that people might be searching for. And then they find your class, and they might not be searching for that class, but once they find the class, they might realize it's something they're interested in. So definitely take the time to write out your lecture descriptions on Udemy.
Yeah, I've taken a pretty basic approach in there, and more of the side of SEO than like you said. I don't think those things get hardly written too much unless someone is really, really interested in your course. They've really bought into it and they want to read every little thing. But I've done it for more SEO purposes. So for my Photoshop effects course, I might say, the section might be called how to create a Instagram Photoshop effect. And then for the description, I'll say in this Instagram Photoshop effect, you're going to learn, and then I'll list like 3 bullet points or 2 bullet points or something. So it's kind of a copy and paste, but it's a very easy way for me to pop in that Photoshop effects keyword over and over again, and then add in a little couple benefits that you're going to learn in that particular section or the lecture that I've written it for.
Yeah. So overall, with your titles, your subtitles, your description, everything, the key is to include keywords and the benefit of the course. What will students be learning? How will they be learning it? And what separates it and differentiates it from the other courses on Udemy or online? Why will someone want to enroll in your class specifically? Any other thoughts or ideas before we wrap it up?
No, I think we hit it pretty good. I think we've covered pretty much a lot of the basis. Just remember that you're writing to humans. We talk a lot about SEO, and you do want to be able to be found. So it's important to have those keywords and be found on Google and on Udemy and so forth. But remember that you are ultimately writing for this to a person because you want them to buy into your course and your product so that you can teach them and help them out. So keep that in mind when you're writing this stuff out. Don't just make it robotic. Really think about that person that you want to talk to.
Yeah, I love it. Right to people, not to robots. So, robots might be taking our classes someday, but they'll be teaching us. Anyways, Jeremy, thanks for being on the show with me again today. Everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any ideas for topics that we haven't covered yet, let us know. We've got a number of topics that are coming up. We're working our entire way through creating, launching, publishing, and selling our courses. So hopefully you're enjoying this season of the Online Course Masters show. As always, head over to onlinecoursemasters.com. Number 1, click that community tab to join the Facebook group. And number 2, check out the mentorship program if you're interested in taking this to the next level. If you need that extra bit of help, we have a program that can walk you through the entire process, not just for Udemy, but for any other platform that you're working on, that will take you from zero to hero with your own online courses. So check that out. Of course, leave a review and a rating wherever you're listening to the podcast. We definitely appreciate that. And until next time, have a beautiful week, and we'll see you in the next episode.